what you've seen so far through spring, where you feel like the offense is?
We're improving. Some days at the rate we want, some days not. I think the first 5 days, man, we had great energy. I mean, you could tell our guys were flying around. I think we got better. We hit a little bit of a lull, probably somewhere in 2 or 3 practices towards the middle, which is probably normal. Guys get used to, hey, we're in practice 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, 10. Middle of spring, not fresh anymore, and that's when to be a great team, you got to push through it and get better. There were some days I don't know if we got a lot better. But the last 2 practices, I think our guys are starting to pick the tempo back up. Our coach has done a good job, and like I said, we're getting better in a lot of areas, I think.
What have you seen from Nick over the past couple of weeks?
Very similar just to the team. I mean, I think he's gotten better. His footwork's better. He feels the number one thing, and I think I said this the first time we talked, he's just more comfortable. I mean, he knows where everybody's at on every play. We haven't had any plays where he doesn't know the play or bust like that, and so it's just been a matter of him being able to go through his progressions, make the reads, make the throws. I think he's continuing to develop that leadership aspect with our guys, which is a really good thing for us at quarterback. So he's getting better.
How are the on-field things that he's doing now different than what he was doing even in January in the championship?
That's a good question. We haven't been in a game situation per se, so it may be harder to really notice the biggest differences. I just think there's a confidence about him, not from his ability, just from, man, I know what's going on. And so not only do I think he does a better job of commanding the team and carrying himself, but I think because he's confident, he doesn't worry if he didn't think a receiver's where he wants him. He's going to let him know. If they didn't give him enough time, he's going to let him know. And he's also got he's had the ability to admit, hey, man, I blew that. But if you're not quite sure of yourself, it's harder for you to lead other people, and I think he's more sure of himself even than he was in January. Like I said, last year he led more by example and making plays, and our guys believed in him. Now he could be having an off day and still lead our guys, and they're going to listen to him.
Speaking of confidence, Cameron Harris-Payne seems pretty confident.
Yep.
He wants to be the starter.
Yep.
Says heck, he'd like to even be the MVP of the spring game. What have you noticed from him, and do you like that type of confidence?
Love it, and Cam's a pro. Cam was a pro last year. I mean, he practices like a pro, and what that means, he comes to meetings every day. He's the same every day. He doesn't have bad days. I mean, he's always attentive. He's always trying to get better. He does everything Coach Horton asks him to do. And, we had confidence in Cam last year, and I know Cam last year was ready to go. So I got a lot of confidence that Cam will do everything we ask him to do, carrying the ball, protections, and really do a good job for us.
That battle going on there, running
That's good. I mean, I think Cam has done a lot of good things. I think Peyton Barber has really gotten a lot of reps, which is really good for him. And boy, you can tell the redshirt year was good for him, and that hey, he's a lot more confident himself. He's still here now and then, will make a bust here or there, but he's still a true freshman, and he's getting better and better every day. And the reps have been great for him. And hopefully what you see in A-Day is how he's really been doing a nice job running the football. And then Corey Grant is still getting a lot of work, not just doing what Corey does, but doing every down back stuff, and I think that's been good for Corey.
So it's not one of those situations where someone's stepped out in front?
Well, we're not going to name any starters in the middle of spring ball. We just don't do that. So we know as coaches where everybody's at in our eyes.
When you have a player like Brock Thomas coming into that position, and Cameron Petway for that matter, how fluid do you look at that situation being and plan on that situation being for the next 4 or 5 months?
Well, those freshmen coming in that'll get here at the first of the summer, they'll have the summer to get acclimated, and then the first time we'll really get to us be with them will be in August. And so we're going to play the best player at every position. I don't care if you're a senior. I don't care if you're a true freshman. So those guys are going to get opportunities. The difference for them, these guys are light years ahead. Obviously Cam and Corey have played. Peyton's had a year plus a spring. So it's just going to matter with Rock and Cam in that situation. How quick do they pick things up? How fast can they grasp everything and kind of the game slow down for them? And we've had it both ways. We've had guys like Peyton Barber who, hey, either because we had guys in front of him or maybe he just needed a redshirt year. We still think Peyton's going to be a great player. And then we've had other guys in the past that as a true freshman were ready, and we kind of eased them into it. And sometimes earlier in the year they got more, or as the year went on, their workload increased. So we'll have to see how that goes once those two get here and see how they respond. But, we're counting on them to come in and compete and want to play now.
What do you think of the line with Avery at right guard?
I think our line's doing really good. I want to make it very clear we've not made any changes at our offensive line. I mean, I really don't know why people think that. We're doing at offensive line the same thing we're doing at wide receiver, same thing we're doing at running back and everywhere else, and mixing and matching people. I mean, You know, for example, Avery Young may get some reps at right guard. That doesn't mean he's not playing right tackle. That doesn't mean Chad's not playing right guard. And then sometimes we may put Chad at left guard and take Kozan out and give him a blow. Because at this point, we've got older veteran guys. You take Chad Slade, for example. He's played almost 40 games. We feel like, I mean, he's got a lot of snaps. But what happens if Chad Slade goes down in the middle of the season? What are we going to do then? Or what happens if Alex Kozan goes down? Well, what are we going to do then? You know, maybe you move this guy to there. And so that is all. I know Coach said it the other day. It is by design. We waited till about practice 7 or 8 intentionally to do that and start mixing and matching guys and see how they work and see how we can, inside our top so many guys, move guys around as we need to as the season goes on, because we never know what's going to happen. It's allowed us to get Pat some more reps here and Sean some more reps there, which has been good. But we do the same thing with Reese. I mean, Xavier Dampier's taking some snaps with the first group a lot of times. Does that mean Reese is not the starting center? No. So it's just all about how we manage the reps. We've done it at wideout. We've even done it at quarterback some. You know, I mean, Jeremy Johnson needs to get some reps with the older line at times. So, like I told Brandon, we're not going to make any decisions on depth charts in the middle of spring. It's been really good to see that we've got guys that can handle being uncomfortable and in a different spot and still execute, and we can run our offense.
What does that say about the actual depth you have beyond the first and second team?
It doesn't say anything negative. It's all about maximizing reps, because the good thing is the Devontae Danzies of the world and the Robert Leffs and those guys that we feel like are going to help add depth, they're still getting just as many reps with that second unit. And so we're able to mix and match some things at the first unit and still get them reps at the second unit. So, like I said, we'll make those decisions on where we think everybody's at right now at the end of spring, and we've still been able to get those guys the reps.
Has there been anyone then in those, whether it's the offensive line, running backs,
Yeah.
receivers, any of those guys who you put in a new spot who's impressed you or stood out in this testing period?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think you look at a guy like Daquille Williams. You know, hey, we put him in some different spots the last few days. Ricardo Lewis, same thing. Marcus Davis, we move those guys around a lot. I have been impressed, you know, with the way Avery's been able to play 2 positions. I've been impressed with the way Chad's been able to play both sides. I've been impressed with Xavier Dampier when we've been able to move him up. This spring's been great for him, you know, because a big thing for us, we know what we have with Reese. Who's our next center going to be? I mean, we're still one play away the first game of the year from needing another center. And it's been great that he's been here for the spring and gotten all those reps. So I've been really impressed with some of those guys and how they've responded, because you walk in after 7 practices and you say, hey, Marcus, you're going to play this spot today. You know, a lot of guys, they can't handle that. But a guy like Marcus, he's only been here 1 year, but he already knows and understands the whole concept of what we're doing offensively. He can bump out there and really not miss much of a beat.
Well, what's the biggest improvement you've seen from the receivers as a whole? Has it been versatility or what have you seen?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I think to some degree it's how they practice. They go hard the whole practice. They bought into what we're asking them to do. And it starts with the older guys. You know, they take pride in blocking. They take pride now in making plays on the ball. I think they've attacked the ball better. So when that ball's not thrown perfect, go get it on a deep ball. When that ball's thrown on their back hip, making that catch, you know, that's been a big point of emphasis. Is we need guys to step up and make plays. It's not always going to be a perfect throw. You know what? It may not always be wide open, and we got to make a perfect throw. And making sure those guys that there's no, man, he should have made a better throw, or oh, he should get the ball down. No, it's my bad. Everybody's taking accountability for what they're doing. But I've been proud of the way overall that the receivers have stepped up and made some plays.
You mentioned Duke. What kind of progress have you seen him specifically?
Duke's done a good job. Duke's done a really good job, you know, with just buying into the way we want to practice. A lot of times you get new guys, especially from junior college, they come in and they're not used to practicing like we practice. I mean, let's just call it like it is. And we practice, it's really hard on our wide receivers. I mean, just the way we go, the tempo, we never stop. It gets him in great shape for the game, but he bought in from day one. All the little things we ask him to do, from the way we practice with tempo to run off the field, handing the ball to the official, all the little things, he's never once had one issue with his attitude. He's always bought into what Coach Craig's asking him and what we're asking him to do. And I've been really pleased with the way him and Stanton Truitt, the 2 new guys at receiver. I mean, Stanton really should be a senior in high school, going to prom here in a few weeks. But those guys have done a really good job picking it up. And you can tell that they're going to be guys that are going to be ready to compete and contribute.
Rhett, in Marcus Davis and Tony Stevens, Dominic Walker, the 3
Mhm.
guys who will be entering their second year
Yep.
of the program, what improvements have you seen from those 3 this spring?
All 3, a lot. You can tell the redshirt year really helped Dominique. Very similar to Peyton Barber. Now, we've got some really good players in front of him, so I don't know what that means for him this year. And you can tell that this spring it's been good because he's gotten a lot of reps. And he's gotten more reps already this spring in 11 practices than he got it all last summer and fall. And so we're learning more and more, but what we see is things have slowed down for him, and they should. If they didn't at this point, then you'd start to wonder. Tony Stevens has had a really good spring for the most part. He's been like all of them. He's had his ups and down days. But, man, you can tell he's starting to make plays. He's one of those guys that's been attacking the ball and making some great plays, trying to be more physical. And then Marcus, I tell you what, Marcus is a lot like Cameron Artis-Payne. He's just steady, man. For a freshman, the kid's steady. He acts like he's been here for 7 years. And he's just he comes to work every day. He practices like a pro. He practices hard, and he makes plays. And that's what he did last year as a true freshman.
Well, Tony said in one of the scrimmages he caught a touchdown on fade route. I mean, see, you guys have maybe tried to hit some packages near the red zone where you just kind of like put him out there and let him go.
Yeah, we got a good problem right now when you look at Tony Stevens, at Sammy Coates, at Ricardo Lewis, at Daquille Williams. That's 4 pretty big guys that all can go make plays on the ball, whether it's on deep balls, whether it's in the middle of the field, or even in the red zone. And so we've worked really hard with all 4 of those guys downside in the red zone. And let's not forget about CJ, who made a lot of plays for us last year, another big guy. So we feel like that could be a strength. We got big-bodied guys that either have the ability to separate or even when they're covered, make plays. And as a quarterback, man, that's what you like. That makes your job easier.
Correct. Gus said at the beginning of the spring you guys could play faster. Have you practiced faster? Have you seen that with your offense? I mean, have you been able to see that?
I think at times we've had a couple practices we've had to get their attention. Like I said, in the middle we kind of had some lulls, but I think so. Playing fast is a mindset, and our guys have bought into that. And it's always easier year 2 than it was this time last spring. Last spring we were coaching the tempo. Now we haven't had to do that as much. And I think the other thing that helps is our guys see the value of it. I mean, they saw the value of it, and, hey, our guys are in better shape than anybody. They hardly ever get hurt and hardly ever have any injuries, pulled muscles and all that. It's a great tribute to Coach Russell, and I think it's a tribute to the way we practice and prepare that their bodies are well equipped for those things.
I know last spring the whole thing was the strength of the team seems to be the offensive line. Outside of the offensive line this spring, what do you kind of feel like it could be a strength? Is it maybe the receivers?
I would hesitate to label anyone else as a strength yet. What I would hope is that at receiver we've got depth. We had like 6 receivers last spring. We got depth now, we got size, and we got speed. That's all 3 pretty good things to have. I would hope that could become a strength for us. I'd hope at quarterback, with a senior returning starter and a guy like Jeremy who played coming back, I would hope that would be a strength for us. I would hope with 2 senior running backs coming back, that would be a strength for us. So I don't want to go ahead and maybe give anybody more praise than they're due yet. I think we're still very much a work in progress, but I like the way we're going. If we can finish spring, what I told the guys the other day is most teams, the first 5 days you're good. You get that little middle lull, and what happens is people just try to finish and get through and survive. And we've got to be the exception to that rule if we want to be different, if we want to be a championship team and push through and get better these last 5 practices, to where at the end of day 15 we realize, hey, we made big strides in spring, because now they got all summer to keep building on that on their own. So I want to hold that for those guys right now, but that's what I would hope. And then, we've still got a big question. I mean, we talk about all the guys we lost. Jay Pross was really good. I mean, he was really good. And so we're still trying to see who can step up and take that spot.
What about that position? What do you see?
Ups and downs. Brandon Foles has got the ability to be physical. He's got the size that you need. He just hadn't had the reps at that position. He played more either tight end or split out last year for us based on what our needs were. You got a guy like CJ who's very versatile, whether he's playing out at receiver, playing tight end, playing back there. He's done some good things. You got Gage Batten, who was behind Jay last year. Right now the thing we got is they all do something, each do something better than the other. Brandon may be a little better with this, where CJ's a little better with this, and then Gage is with this, and Jay was pretty much the whole package. And so we just got to keep working those guys, and it's the biggest thing for them is they need reps and being physical, because that's a glue position for us, and so we need those guys to step up.
Last Saturday's scrimmage was about building depth. What are you looking for this Saturday and then building it the next week?
Yeah. I don't know. Coach hadn't shared what really the plan is for Saturday, so I really don't know what we're going to do as far as how much we're going to scrimmage, how much we're going to practice, and all that. So I can't really tell you yet, although for me, these last 4 or 5 practices counting today, I'm looking for high execution in the passing game, vertically down the field, our base stuff. I want us to we've been getting better all spring. I want us to continue to improve and execute at a high level in the passing game. And, I just want us to play well and execute. Our guys now know what to do. They know how to line up. They know the play. It's now about just executing at a high level. And, I think next Saturday, A-Day, will be a good scrimmage. It'll be good because now we get to see how do our guys compete. And some of those guys like, the Peyton Barbers of the world and others that still haven't played in front of thousands of people. That'll be our first test to see kind of how they handle themselves, which is good for us as coaches.
How about Chris Lay? How's he doing?
Chris Lay's doing well. We feel really good about who Chris Lay was when we recruited him, and we think he showed up and he's what we thought he is going to be. He's like Stanton. He should be in high school today. So he came early, so he's still young, but he's getting reps too at the tight end and H-back spots, which is really valuable for him. I mean, he's going to be light years ahead of where he'd have been if he'd have waited until the summer to come in, and we feel really good about him down the road.
Within 65% completion percentage, if you kind of throw that number out there, where do you think Nick is right now in that progression to get to that?
He's getting better. We track it every day in team settings, whether it's scrimmage or just team versus defense, 11-on-11. His completion percentage has gone up. It's up a little bit in 7-on-7 as well. And I think that just goes back to sometimes he's hitting the check down, and there's nothing wrong with that because he knows where everybody's going to be. We had one play today where he had 4 options. His 4th option was his back, and we had protection breakdown. We had all these things happen, and instead of trying to hang in there and hold the ball and take a sack or not know he just flips, hits his check down right now. We get the ball out, Corey gets 7 yards. That's sometimes part of playing quarterback, and that's the level that he's getting to that he wasn't at. And so we'll find out what his numbers are at the end of the spring, but they're going up.
Melvin Ray is a guy that made some plays for you
Yep.
at the end of the year last year. How does he fit into what you're doing?
Melvin's going to have a role. Melvin's role is that he's an older guy, literally and by class, okay? He's just old. And, it's just honest. But because of that, he's got a maturity level, and he understands the system. We moved him around a lot last year. And so he gives us some flexibility with all the things we do different with personnel. He can play a lot of different spots. And he also makes you feel good, too. If someone went down and it's even a position he's not playing, you could move him there, and he'd be able to plug in and play. So Melvin will have a role, and he'll help us win.
Where does Ricky Parks kind of fit in since he's come back into the program this spring?
Ricky, Ricky's just trying to handle Ricky's business. He's out there every day. He's getting work, and we'll just kind of see how that plays out.
It's not exactly a perfect comparison, Rhett, but because Ryan Applin went through a second year in what was a very similar offense with a lot of same verbiage, how do you look at Nick in comparison to what Ryan went through?
There's some probably fair comparisons and some that aren't. Ryan only had 1 year with us, but he did have a spring, and there were some similarities in the offenses. Ryan was a fifth-year senior, I think a 3 or 4 year starter. So that's where it's not the same. But at the same time, he's going on year 2, which probably makes it about similar. And I don't know. They're different players, but you would hope that, Ryan Applin, I think his junior year had like 19 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Well, the first year with us, but really his senior years, after a sprint, he had 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So he ended up throwing for about 3,300 yards. So, you'd hope that would be the maturation process. But it became to the point where Ryan was in there on Mondays helping with the game plan almost, saying, hey, Coach, here's what I see. Yeah, I like this. And as a coach, you want to do what your quarterback feels good about. And I think Nick will hopefully be to that point. He's already at that point. He sometimes knows what we're thinking before we think it. And that's the progression we want him to get to. So we'll have to see, but there's probably some fair comparisons there. I just want him to be the best he can be. And if he's the best he can be, it'll be pretty dang good.
Rhett, the first few games last year, you guys had Cameron Arspane do a little bit of running the Wildcat. Is that something you guys tried to incorporate back into what you're doing again? Or Nick, trying to get more comfortable with the offense, him battling for the start job running back, you kind of avoided trying to add in too many things?
We haven't probably focused on that too much right now. Now, we're always going to have Wildcat element in our offense. That's just part of what we do. And some years it's more, some years it's less. Knowing our guys better now, knowing Nick and some of our other guys better now too, and some of the young guys coming in, it gives us some more options. So we'll have to probably wait till the fall to see how much we use it, but it always remains a possibility.